She wrote to me the way most skeptics do, daring me to prove her wrong. "I have decent skin, good genes, and zero routine," she said. "This whole obsession with morning rituals is a scam for women with too much time on their hands." Her name, for the purposes of this video, is Marguerite Holloway. She's 54. She spent 31 years teaching middle school science in Providence, Rhode Island, and she built her entire identity on trusting evidence over anecdote, which is exactly why, for most of her adult life, she believed the oldest lie in skincare, the one I hear more than any other, that aging is genetic, that some women simply have the skin for it, and the rest of us are managing decline. She'd watched a colleague, barely slept, drank sugary coffee by the gallon, never once touched sunscreen, somehow look a decade younger than women with half her stress level. Genetics, Marguerite decided. Case closed. Then her daughter sent her one of our videos. Not because Marguerite was struggling, because Marguerite was arguing with it in the comments, certain she could out-debate a wellness channel with a 20-year-old biology degree. She downloaded the Elegant Morning Routine Checklist that night, not to use it, to disprove it. 3 weeks later, she wrote to me again. This time it wasn't an argument. It was a photograph. Her, at a school reunion, standing beside two women her exact age. And a question underneath it: why do I look like I have 10 more years left than they do? Here is what changed. It was never one miracle habit. It was the compounding of several small, unglamorous daily decisions. The ones her science background should have led her to all along, if anyone had ever laid them out for her the way this checklist did. A dermatologist I know in Manhattan told me something once that I think about constantly. Genetics loads the gun. Behavior pulls the trigger. Marguerite didn't inherit different skin than her colleague. She inherited different habits and mistook them for fate. That's the story I want you to sit with today, because by the time we reach habit 7 on this list, the one almost nobody talks about, the one that has nothing to do with any product sitting in your bathroom, you'll understand exactly why some women in their 50s get mistaken for women in their 30s. It was never luck. Before we get into it, I have something for you. It's the exact document Marguerite downloaded that night. Free, no catch. It's called the Elegant Morning Routine Checklist. 12 rituals sophisticated women use to protect their skin, their hormones, their energy, and their presence after 40. I'll leave it below this video. My name is 𝐒𝐶 Every week, I bring this community the information that nobody else is willing to say plainly. That community is called the Undeniables. If you are new here, subscribe right now. You belong here. And drop the city you are watching from in the comments below. I am always down there reading. I want to know where my fellow Undeniables are. Now, let's get into it. 1. Expression discipline. I've watched women in their 60s with fewer forehead lines than women in their 30s, and the difference was never injectables. It was awareness. Every squint, every furrowed brow held for hours at a screen is a fold you are teaching your skin to memorize. Dermatologists call this dynamic wrinkling, movement-based lines that eventually become static ones, present even at rest. This is what Marguerite's science brain latched onto first. She moved her reading glasses to her desk instead of squinting at her phone across the room. A physical therapist I know calls unconscious jaw clenching during stress the silent third, the portion of facial aging that has nothing to do with sun or time and everything to do with repetition nobody notices. Small, unglamorous. Within 2 weeks, Marguerite said her forehead looked rested for the first time in a decade. This is one of 30 days inside the Undeniables complete system, the guide Marguerite eventually went back for, once the checklist convinced her there was more where that came from. And if you're planning to stay through this video, subscribe now, because next week, I'm breaking down the exact conversation to have with your dermatologist to get the treatment you actually need, instead of the one they default to selling. 2. She treats cigarettes as a scheduled theft, not a moral failing. A withdrawal, made twice a day, from a skin account she can never redeposit into. A 2013 twin study out of Case Western Reserve University compared identical twins where one smoked and one didn't. The smoking twin consistently showed deeper wrinkles, thinner skin, and a visibly older face, independent of every other factor. Marguerite never smoked, but her late husband had, in their small apartment, for 9 years. She hadn't considered secondhand exposure a skin issue until she read the study herself. Now she keeps their home smoke-free without apology and treats it the way she'd treat a leak in the roof, a small thing that erodes something structural if it's ignored. 3. She protects the 8 hours like a closed-door meeting. A 2013 study out of University Hospital's Case Medical Center in Cleveland found that poor sleepers showed more visible signs of skin aging, slower recovery from sun exposure, and lower satisfaction with their own appearance than good sleepers, regardless of age. Marguerite used to grade papers until midnight, then wonder why concealer stopped working the way it used to. Now her laptop closes at 9. A retired hospital administrator I know calls this unnegotiating your own exhaustion, refusing to treat sleep as the first thing sacrificed when a day runs long. 4. Sunscreen isn't a summer decision, it's a daily one. The NAMBER trial, run by the Queensland Institute of Medical Research in Australia, followed adults over 4 years and found that people who wore daily sunscreen showed measurably less skin aging than those who wore it only occasionally, even in a climate most of us would call mild by comparison. Marguerite's mistake wasn't skipping sunscreen outright, it was only remembering it at the beach. Now it sits by her toothbrush, applied before she decides whether the day even calls for it. A dermatologist at a Relais and Chateau resort once told me the women who age best treat sunscreen the way they treat brushing their teeth, a habit that doesn't ask permission from the weather. 5. She's rewritten what unwinding means. A study published in the British Journal of Dermatology found that heavier alcohol consumption was associated with more visible facial aging, including sagging, prominent blood vessels, and volume loss, independent of age or smoking status. Marguerite's colleague, the one she'd envied, poured wine most nights to decompress from the classroom. Marguerite had done the same for years without connecting it to anything. She didn't quit outright. She swapped 4 nights a week for tea, journaling, or a walk, and noticed her complexion even out within a month, something no serum had ever done for her. 6. She stopped treating sugar as a reward. Researchers at Leiden University Medical Center have studied how sugar in the bloodstream binds to collagen through a process called glycation, stiffening and yellowing the skin over time, and found that people with higher blood sugar were consistently perceived by others as older than their actual age. Marguerite's habit was the after-school treat, a cookie most days, as a small reward for surviving 31 middle schoolers. She replaced it with fruit and protein most weeks, not out of vanity, but because a colleague in the science department showed her the glycation research, and she couldn't unsee it.
7. She moves specifically and daily.
Here's the habit I promised you at the start of this video. Researchers at McMaster University, led by exercise scientist Mark Tarnopolsky, found that regular moderate exercise measurably reversed signs of skin aging in older adults, improving skin structure in ways that mimicked much younger skin, even in participants who started well past 50. Marguerite had exercised for weight, never once for her face. She started walking briskly for 30 minutes most mornings, and within 2 months, said her skin had a texture she hadn't seen since her 30s. Not from a product, from circulation. Since Marguerite kept coming back to me with results like this one, I want to remind you the complete system she's now working through has a full section on this. The Aging Well Blueprint, built specifically around the biology of hormones, movement, and skin, not vague encouragement. 8. She manages stress like it's a skin ingredient, because it is. Alyssa Epple and her team at the University of California, San Francisco have spent years studying the relationship between chronic stress, cortisol, and cellular aging, finding that sustained stress accelerates aging at a biological level, visible in the skin long before it shows anywhere else. Marguerite's classroom was not gentle. She started ending her day with 10 minutes of silence before she walked in her front door. No grading, no phone, nothing to solve. A small ritual. Her cortisol didn't need a lab test for her to feel the difference. Her skin told her first. 9. She stopped treating her cleanser like a battle plan. A dermatologist I trust in New York has told me for years that women overcorrect their skin far more often than they undercorrect it, layering exfoliants, acids, and harsh cleansers in pursuit of a fix, and instead stripping the barrier that was protecting them in the first place. Marguerite had been using a drugstore scrub daily since her 20s, convinced more friction meant more results. Once she switched to a gentle twice-daily cleanse, her skin stopped looking irritated by Thursday of every week, a pattern she'd never once connected to her own routine. 10. She remembers the neck, the hands, the parts everyone forgets. A hand surgeon who works with several women in my circle once told me she can guess a woman's real age within a year just by her hands, because most women apply serum, sunscreen, and care to their face and stop at the jawline, leaving the neck and hands to age at a completely different rate. Marguerite hadn't touched her neck with anything but soap in decades. She started extending every product she used on her face an inch lower, every time, without exception. Small, consistent, and within weeks, the line where her face ended and her neck began simply disappeared. 11. She lets her face rest, on purpose, daily. A facialist who works with several women in my world, the kind who don't advertise who does their skin, has told me that the women who age best aren't the ones doing the most. They're the ones who spend 2 minutes each evening on gentle upward massage, encouraging circulation and lymphatic drainage, instead of letting tension settle into the same places, night after night. Marguerite added this last, almost as an afterthought. She says it's the 2 minutes of her day that feels the least like discipline and the most like care. Marguerite still teaches science, part-time now, and she still argues with me in the comments occasionally, but not about whether habits matter. Now it's about which ones matter most. She went back for the Undeniable's complete system, not because the checklist wasn't enough, but because it proved to her, in 3 weeks, that the other 29 days were worth having too. Here is what every one of these habits has in common, Marguerite. They were never about fighting your face. They were about stopping the small, invisible theft that happens when nobody's paying attention. One squint, one cigarette, one skipped hour of sleep at a time. Genetics loads the gun. What you do with your days pulls the trigger, or it doesn't. Write that down. Your skin was never a verdict. It was always a record of what you did on ordinary Tuesdays. Pick 3 habits from this list, not 11. 3. Practice them for the next 14 days without exception. Then come back and comment, I practiced this, this, and this. Tell me what shifted or send me an email. I read every one. If this video gave you something, subscribing costs you nothing and means everything to this community. There's a video on your screen right now that I'd recommend you watch next. It goes even deeper into the habits we only touched on today. Until next time, to every woman watching, you are not here by accident. You are an undeniable. Act like it. Isabel?